So next thing what we need to do is we need the name of user who created the message, right? So that way we can identify who created the message. So for that we need to make the authentication system. So luckily we already Firebase got authentication. We don't need to do anything much. So now we need to make the login system, so that a user can only access this page after logging in, right? So only authenticated user will access, and then create message. Then we will store who created message in our collection, and then we'll display it here. Alright, so now let's build authentication system. So for that let's first create a login component. So what we'll do here is so if you go to authentication, there are different method for authentication. We have a different sign-in method available, like, so let's go to authentication and then hit setup sign-in method. I'll show you. So these are all options available to us. We can do using email, password, phone, Google, and like this. So now most of the people have Google account, so I will make it simple. We'll enable the Google sign-in method, and then we'll allow user to sign in using Google. So just enable and save it. So now you can see Google enabled. So if you want email, password, you can do that as well. Alright, so under authentication, so you can go through get started if you want to do email and password and set up login, but in this video we'll be using Google sign-in method. So let's go to Google sign-in, and we will do exact same thing. Like, first we need to initialize the provider. So we'll put this code on our login component. So before that, let's create a login component. So I'll duplicate this home, or let's create a new file, login.view. We'll have simple template, and let's put it, please login to continue, login with your Google account to continue. Alright, so and we'll create here a button, very simple, login with Google, and when someone clicks on this button, we'll call this login method, which we'll be creating over here. Methods, and then method name will be login. So here, so first we need to initialize the provider, like so. So provider will be Firebase auth. So before that, since we are using this Firebase, we need to import the Firebase here. Import Firebase from Firebase, and then there is this optional step. If you want to do, you can do like adding scope, read only. So this is optional. We won't do that, we want to skip that, and here comes the main step. So now we need to call this sign in with pop up, and we'll pass the provider that we just initialized, and it will open the pop-up and ask you and do everything for you. So yeah, so this is quite easy. So we'll copy this code into our component below here, and I will make it look a bit nicer. So sign in with pop, and then after it returns result, we will then do this token. If we need token, then we will, yeah, so Currently we don't need to do anything like so. Yeah, just leave that. So this bit of code will execute on success and this bit of code on failure. So let's use ES6 syntax result like so. And then what we will do here is, after the successful login, we will redirect user to the login the main component. All right, so what we'll do here is this dot router dot push will push it to home component. So now our login code is in place. Next we need to create this route, right? So otherwise how can we access that? So login, let's import that login as well, login, and then we'll create a new route, just duplicate it and I'll name it login and it will be login. There we go. So that is done. Let's go to our application and let's see what we can improve. So log in. Yeah, please log in with Google account to continue. Totally fine. Let's hit login with Google. So ask us to sign in. So since we are running on HTTP and localhost, it will ask you to give you this warning, just advance and go to the Firebase app and allow. Yeah, we trust it because it is our own application, nothing harmful going on. All right, so it took us to home component. All right, so in this window we are logged in and we can access. So we need to fix one more thing. So for example, let's open up this on a guest window where we are not logged in, and if we try to go to our home page, it shouldn't allow, right? Because we are not authenticated. It need to take us to the login component, so that we have to log in order to come here. So to restrict the unauthenticated user from accessing the private chat component, we need to create here before route enter, so the router method. So below created, we'll create that. So view router allows this before route enter, before route enter method with this. So you can find this on documentation for reference. So it will just hook up before everything, like even before created, it will get executed. And here we'll check if user is authenticated or not. So the way we do it is like so. Next VM. So the VM is like this. So we do not have access to this in this bit of block of code, because this is even get initialized before this initialized, and so we access these variable or even the router from using VM. So next will be executed after we return next from here. So for example, let's see, let me give you example by doing it. So we need to check if we have authenticated user or not. So the way we do in Firebase is like this: Firebase auth on auth state changed. So this will give us user, if user is authenticated, of course. So this is the method on auth state change. It will give us, so it will tell us both if user logged in or if user logged out, basically if auth changes. Like, so for example, if there is user, so if it returns user, we will tell router to go to the next request. So it is just like middleware in Laravel, if you are familiar to it. So if there is user, that means user is authenticated. We will go to next request, which is, it will allow us to move next. Else, if there is no user, then we will go to router. So this router dot push to login component. So as I've already mentioned, we have no access to this there. That's why we use VM. So basically this view router allows this kind of method to access this from here. There we go. So now we are protecting from unauthorized access. So let's go to our guest window and let's try to access it once more. Looks like we missed something. Yeah, so we need to import this Firebase, right? So we missed that. Alright, so once that is done, let's refresh. Yeah, so whenever we try to access the home page, it is taking us to this login component. Cool. So after we log in, we should get to that. So we already tested that, no need to test it now. Now we need to do what we need to do is we need to store the authenticated user in a variable named, yeah, let's call it auth user. Yeah, auth user is fine. So by default it will be the empty object, and so whenever the component is created, so after component created, we will assign that here. So before fetching message, so here firebase dot auth. So if user, then we can do this dot user, this dot auth user equals to user. Alright, so that should do. Else we'll make this dot auth user null. So for example, if user logged out, this will fire up because we are constantly listening for auth state changed, and then we'll have access to, we'll make the auth user null. So we need to store the information about who created message as well. So let's do that here. So I will call it author or message. Okay, author. So this dot auth user dot display name. So by the way, this is the format. So auth user contains this display name, UID. So if you console log, you can see that, or I learned it from documentation. Yeah, so like here, so we got display name, user email, email verified. So these all are options that I get by default. Alright, so now that we are saving all necessary information about message, so like message content, author of message, and then created at. So now what we can do here is we can display the author of message like so, message dot author. Also we can show message dot created at, but our so this is the whole object. So we'll use other moment.js to make it look nicer in a moment. For now, let's get rid of this, and also let's delete all documents. We'll start over with the author name as well. Okay, hi, hello, there we go. So if you log in with another user in other window, we can get that as well. So let's test it. Alright, so I'm logged in with two different users over here and here. Let's set hey Hitesh, there we go, hi web tab, there we go. I can listen you. Alright, so let's add some special class depending upon who created the message to make it look a bit nice. So what we'll do over here is, so while looping through all messages, we need to find out who created. So if the user who logged in has created message, we'll apply the different style to that. Otherwise we'll apply a different style. Alright, so here we are looping through all messages and we are applying this class. So we will toggle this class. So to do that, Vue.js allows us to dynamically apply the class. So the way we do that is like so. So we'll bind the class by keeping the dot, and here we'll supply this array, and we'll use the ternary operator here. So for example, if message dot author is equals to user dot display name. So currently users display name in author message, then we'll apply one class. So then it will be the sent message, right? So we'll apply this class. Otherwise we'll apply received message class. So this is how we toggle class. And so now we need to write CSS for these two classes over here to make it look the way we want. So we'll make sent message look one way and other look another way. So we'll not go through styles. So I just applied different color for them. Now let's see how it looks. Delete auth user, sorry about that. So message.author should match auth user, like so. So as you can see, if new message come, it is not scrolling all the way down, right? So we need to fix this scrolling issue. So to fix scrolling, it is quite simple. So after receiving new message, we need to scroll to all the way to bottom. So to scroll to bottom, we need to create a new method, scroll to bottom. Let's create a new method over here, scroll to bottom. So I defined a simple variable box, and we are getting the box which contains all message, which is this message history. Alright, so it contains all the messages, and we are just scrolling to top all the way down like box.scroll height. And we need to call this scroll to bottom method after someone sent the message, right? So after someone add the message, we'll have this then. So after someone successfully send the message, will this dot scroll to bottom. We'll call this method. So this will fix when someone types and hit enter. Also we need to call this method after receiving message, right? So after we receive message, we need to call that as well. So here we are doing that, and let's do set timeout. So we'll call this method after some time, because otherwise it takes some time to render the data. So without rendering, it will not scroll to bottom, right? So we'll make 1 second delay. So if we call this scroll to bottom without timeout, so these all messages won't get rendered. So this will call before this all get rendered. So this is quick fix for that. Yeah, so now it should scroll to bottom. There we go. So let's try. I am typing some message. There we go. There we go. Without doing anything. Yeah, so this is a simple chat application. Hope you learned something about Firebase or Firestore, how to use that to build simple application. So in future videos, we'll cover more about Firestore, Firebase, and other Firebase related products. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.